Hello there everyone, welcome back to another review on the channel. Today we're going to be looking at an interesting little product, and that's Icarus by Christian Grace. And if you want a small teaser, this is a good one. This is good. This is really good. So make sure to stick around to learn more about it. So you've eventually stuck around to learn more about Icarus. Now, what is Icarus? Icarus is essentially a in-air mid-TNR restoration. I know that doesn't make how you word is a bit complicated, but don't worry, you always ask for performances, and this is an effect I can perform. I'm not going to do the whole routine, I'm just going to perform the visual aspect of it, and you're going to see it up here on the screen. You're going to see boom, the visual. That looks great. Doesn't it look great? It actually looks amazing. So that's essentially what the effect is you tear a corner off a card, that's selected, and then boom, normally it's the specter's hands, but I didn't have any specters. So you just have them hold their hand like this, and you do that inside of their hand, and it fully restores, and they could keep that forever. Yes, they could keep that card for the rest of their lives if they so wish. Now that's essentially the effect. Where do you buy this and how much does it cost? This costs $29.99 US and is available only at Ellusionist.com. So what do you get when you pay your $29.99? First, you get this, the new little Ellusionist obsession with like little slidey things like this. So you get your little slidey thing. On the other side here, you get a link to the instructions as well as your gimmick that I do not have because I'm using it, as you can see. So this is essentially what you get. Now, the video that you get is the typical Ellusionist type video. It's separated in different sections of like ranging between 1 minute to like 8 minutes, describing different parts of the effect, like the setup, how it works, the gimmicks, an introduction, a thank you note, the credits, the main routining, the special move. It goes through everything. It's a typical Ellusionist video. It has everything you need labeled exactly. So if you come back a month later and you forgot just the move, you just click on the section, the move, and you have the move. So really good video, explains everything that you need to do, how everything works. Super to the point. Christian Grace does an incredible job in it. An amazing little video. Now the gimmick itself, when I purchased this, and I watched the ad copy and I was like, reusable gimmick forever. I was like, what? I was like, how is that possible? How can you actually reuse a gimmick? And I was like, free card at the end that they could keep? I honestly had no clue how this would work. I had some ideas, but no clue. So when I looked at the instructional video waiting for my package, I did not expect what the trick actually was, and I'm beyond delighted. It is really good. So the gimmick is going to last you forever. The gimmick is going to last you almost forever. I think that it won't break. I don't see it break, except if maybe you like take the gimmick like this and just bend it really hard with like all your might, or you take some pliers and you bend it. I don't see it breaking anytime soon. So this should last you an incredibly long time. So the gimmick, yeah, it won't break on you. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the gimmick. But before we get into our normal spiel of my reviews, let's mention a few things. So since the gimmick doesn't break, okay, and the card is handed out for examination, that means that you're gonna have to ruin a card for every effect. The card that you rip will be ripped, and the card that they get after, they can keep. Okay, I want to set that forward. So every time you perform this, you're going to have to rip a gimmick. And I mean, not a gimmick. You're going to have to rip a card to which the gimmick works with. So that's what I have to say. I won't spoil much, but the gimmick attaches to the card that you rip. And then when you do the restoration, the card that they get is fully examinable. And yeah, so that's essentially what I can say about that without spoiling too much. But essentially, the gimmick is always going to be out of play once the restoration is done. You can easily get rid of it. Now, I also want to mention that it is not a free choice. Since the gimmick has to be attached to a card, the card that they select is not a free choice. It is a force. Now, this again, I'm not spoiling too much, but I do think it's important to people. It is not a free choice. You're not going to just, have them spread the cards on the table and just take one. If you buy 52 of the gimmicks, then maybe, but it won't work like that. So, the card they select is not a free choice. It is a force. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, the last thing I want to mention is that they say that the gimmick is adaptable to any deck. Preferably, I would say just use Blue Bicycle. The gimmick comes in Blue Bicycle. Use Blue Bicycles. It will work better. You can use this with a Red Bicycle or any other deck, but it will require it will limit a bit your routine, because if you do it with Blue Bicycles, when you tear the card, you can flash the back too. You won't say, look at the back and leave it for them to see, but you could flash the back casually as you're talking. However, if you do it with other decks, if you don't, take some time to do some DIY and to do, a bunch of other stuff, then you won't be able to. You can, if you don't want to do the DIY, you can just do it with, a deck, but you never show the back of the card. When you rip the card, you never show the back of it. Not a big problem, but it is what it is. You could essentially perform this with any deck if you want, but just know of these limitations is that once the gimmick is attached, it is a Blue Bicycle no matter what. So if you do this with, for example, a Red Bicycle and you do the rip, you won't be able to show back and front as you're talking. You'll just do the rip and that's it. So keep that in mind. That's all I have to say about the gimmick and what you receive. So since the gimmick is this is my last thought, since the gimmick is almost indestructible and will last you almost an entire lifetime, I do think that those caveats that the gimmick has, so that it's not a freely selected card, and that, if you want to do it with another deck, you can't necessarily flash the back, is something that is a non-issue for me because of the nature of the gimmick and how good it is and how fun it is to use. Now let's get into difficulty. Is this difficult to perform? I would say it's not easy, and I would say it's not hard. I would put it as intermediate. The move does take a bit of practice, not much. I wasn't familiar with the move, so this is from someone that never used that move, wasn't familiar to it. It took me, I would say, 15 minutes to get used to everything. So 15 minutes, and I was able to do the move flawlessly without any hiccups. So around 15 minutes. It's not that knacky, it's pretty easy, so you have to keep that in mind. However, there are some angles. The trick is a bit angle sensitive, and I'm going to put that in the difficulty of why it's a bit intermediate too. That's not only the move, it's a bit angle sensitive, because when you're holding the deck and the piece, you're holding it like this. So I would say the angles are from here to here. So it's not, it depends how you hold it. You could get away 180, but I don't know. I don't think it's fully 180. You could get away with it, but even so, I do think that you have to be wary of your angles and how you perform. So I would incline like this. So this is how I would perform it. So the spectator would be you, so I would be like this, and I would do the switch like that, right? So I would do the move and the effect like this. So I wouldn't do it for you, for example, like this. So if I do it like this, you could see what's going on. But if I do it like this and I do it, it should be fine. So it's a bit angle sensitive, but nothing too groundbreaking. I'm sure you can get through those hoops and perform it without too much issue. So that's essentially the difficulty of it. Now let's get into practicality. Is this practical? Yes and no. Because let's say you want to do this table hopping. Let's say you want to go from table to table. You're going to have to rip a card every time. So when you rip that card, the gimmick will not be able to be automatically reused on another card. You're going to have to, to do something to put it on another card. Let's say the reset of this trick is like 10 seconds. So you're going to have to essentially displace the gimmick from card to card when you perform this effect. Okay? So you're going to have to displace the gimmick. So it's not, you can't just do it at a table and automatically go to another table and do it. So you're going to have to go to the table, do a small reset, go again, and keep on doing that. So that's essentially how, that's a little bit caveat about practicalities, that you won't always be able to do it, nonstop. You won't be able to go from group to group to group, doing the effect 24/7. There is a small reset. So keep that in mind. There's a small reset and a card that gets ruined. So I would advise always, if you want to perform this at a big event, bring a matching deck, and every time you finish a performance, pick a card from the matching deck and continue on. Now, I also want to mention this regarding practicality, is that you cannot get this card signed, but there are some ruses to make this card look signed. One of the ruses that I like to use, and that I would recommend you use too, feel free. It's not mine by any chance. I don't even know where I remember it. I think I saw it on some TV episode or on some trailer for a trick or something like that. I honestly don't remember. But it stuck with me, and I never used it up until this trick because I think it's cool. So when you have them select the card, you could do this. If you make it look natural, it's fine. When you have them select the card, you tell them, can you smile for me? They're gonna be like, okay. They're gonna smile, and you just draw a smiley face on the card. That seems impromptu. It doesn't seem forced, It doesn't seem like your signature, because that to me wouldn't feel natural. You taking your pen and being like, let me sign this card. Why would you sign your name? Sign their name on the card, Why would you sign the name? So I would feel that just doing a little smiley gets away with the sign card, kind of, because I know some people want to do it with the sign card. That kind of gets away with some of those issues, in my opinion. And I feel that that's a good way to get about it, because if you ask the spectator afterwards, like a day after, to tell what happened to someone and they kept the card, they're gonna tell, oh, this guy, I chose any card. He then signed it, and then he signed it with my face or whatever. I don't know how they would describe it. Depends the person. He ripped it, and then boom, it came back into my hand with my smile on it. So I think that kind of adds a bit of layer. You're not obliged to do it. It doesn't, it won't revolutionize the world, but I do think it's a small tip that I'm giving to you that you could use to get around the sign card issue, which is something, people value as practicality. So again, last kind of comments on practicality. You'll have to reset the trick every time and ruin a card every time. So is it practical? Yes and no. It is, but it isn't also. Yes, the reset is fast. There's not much to do. But still, you do have to always redo it nonstop, 24/7. So if you're at a gig, it may get tiring for you. Like, let's say there's 50 tables and you want to do that every single table. At a certain point, it's going to get tiring for you to always go back to your case, reset it, and go again. But again, that's what I have to say about it. And I do think if you perform this just for a few tables, you'll be fine and you'll get great reactions. Now, let's talk about where do you perform. Where do you perform this? This could be performed walk around. This could be performed bars. Could be performed weddings. Could be performed, cocktail, street, almost anywhere. You could perform this almost anywhere. I wouldn't do this parlor or stage because it's a small visual thing that's good to see close up. I don't think you want to bring this to the big stage. There's not a big stage trick, There's something you do close up and casually. And I do think that it's amazing for that. So I do think you have a wide array of places you can perform this. And that is great for me because I don't have many stage shows or parlor shows. I have 1 or 2 parlor shows, but most of the time it's, close up at weddings and small gigs. And this is perfect for that. That's the exact environment you want to perform this on. So it has a wide array. So I do think that's a major bonus. So now that's kind of all out of the way and we've talked about almost everything. Let's talk about positives and negatives. So let's start today with the positives. We'll start with the positives today. What are the positives of the effect? The gimmick is incredibly durable. The effect is super cool. The effect is super cool, and I think it's really visual. The effect is pretty easy to do once you get used to the move. It's pretty easy to do. The instructions are really good. The packaging is great, and this will last you a long time. What are some of the negatives? What are the negatives? The negatives are that the card cannot be freely selected. There is a bit of a forcing. The card cannot be signed by the spectator. Again, you could get around that. But if you don't want to use my smile thing, or use something else, or if maybe you don't even want to use it, maybe you don't even care about having the card signed, maybe it doesn't matter to you. So, but still, that could be a negative. Another negative could be that if you want to adapt this to any other deck and you're not really craftsy or something like that, you won't be able to show the back of the card. Again, you can use it with any deck, but a small caveat, you do have to do certain things or not show the back. There are some caveats, but that's the only negatives that I could find for this effect. Truly, those are the only negative things I can find to say about Icarus. So to kind of wrap it all up, would I recommend this? Yes. Fully yes. I was hesitant when buying it. I wasn't really sure. I was like, oh, another TNR. Not really sure about it. But this is one of the best purchases I've done on Ellusionist in a long time. This is actually great. This is great. It is great. I actually recommend it. It fully surprised me. I can't wait to use this in the real world. It's not only, social media, it's real world stuff. I can't wait to use it. It's fun. It's really good. So I do recommend you getting this. For those that like a more numerical value of reviews, I would give Icarus a 9.25 on 10. I do find this is great, and I do find that those small caveats of, not freely selected cards, signature, are easily handled in different ways, and you can easily find a workaround. I think it won't hinder at all the effect for you or the spectator. Great effect, and I do recommend it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next review. Bye bye.